All right, today we are diving into one of the most audacious, most consequential heists in modern history. Seriously, it's an incredible story of espionage, national pride, and a huge geopolitical gamble that, believe me, changed the world forever. This question, it just gets right to the heart of our story, doesn't it? For years, people were asking this. How on earth did Pakistan, a developing nation, get its hands on the most destructive technology on the planet? Well, the answer isn't about invention. Nope, it's about theft on an industrial scale. Okay, so before we get into the nuts and bolts of the heist, we gotta quickly get our terms straight. Nuclear bomb is kind of an umbrella term. Underneath it, you've got the atom bomb, which is, incredibly powerful. But then you have the hydrogen bomb, or a thermonuclear bomb, and that thing is a staggering 100 times more powerful. This little distinction, it's gonna be absolutely crucial later on, so just, tuck that away. Every great heist needs a mastermind, right? And for this one, our guy was a man named Abdul Qadeer Khan. Now, he's known as the father of Pakistan's nuclear bomb, but what most people don't know is that his story, it actually starts in India. So A.Q. Khan was born in India back in 1936. After the partition, his family moved to the newly formed Pakistan. Khan was brilliant, he was ambitious, and by 1972, he lands a job that would literally change the course of his life and global politics. He gets a position at Urenco, a top-tier, high-security European nuclear enrichment company. So what was Khan's master key, his secret weapon? It was his brain, specifically his fluency in German and Dutch. You see, his job at Urenco wasn't just any old job. He was literally tasked with translating the most sensitive, top-secret technical documents for their most advanced centrifuges. His language skills gave him access to the absolute heart of their nuclear technology. So, Khan has access to the secrets. All he needed was a motive. And that motive, it was about to arrive in the form of a deafening explosion from his nation's biggest rival. In 1974, India successfully tests its first nuclear bomb. The codename was Smiling Buddha. For Pakistan, this was a terrifying development. A deep sense of vulnerability and rage just swept across the country. And for A.Q. Khan, this was a personal call to action. He decided, if India can do it, so can we. And Khan found a perfect partner in crime, so to speak, in Pakistan's Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Khan writes Bhutto a letter offering to build him a bomb. And Bhutto, a man who publicly seethed with hatred for India and made declarations like this one, well, he eagerly accepted. The political will and the technical access were now perfectly aligned. Okay, so this is how the heist actually went down. Khan is given the job of translating the designs for Germany's most advanced centrifuges for 16 days. 16 days. He works completely alone, no supervision. He meticulously copied every single blueprint, every dimension, every technical spec. But here's the absolute genius of his plan. He didn't just steal the recipe. He stole the entire shopping list, a detailed list of over 100 European companies that supplied every single nut, bolt, and valve needed to build the whole shebang. So you might be wondering, how in the world could a theft this massive happen without anyone noticing? Well, the answer lies in the bigger picture, the global chessboard of the Cold War, where Pakistan was a key piece in a much, much larger game. Get this, the Dutch authorities, they were suspicious of Khan. They saw him meeting with Pakistani diplomats, making shady deals. They even warned the CIA, but the CIA told them to stand down. Why? They figured he was just a small-time scientist. They thought at worst he'd steal a few papers. They could not imagine he was capable of stealing an entire nuclear program. This timeline right here, it reveals everything about the geopolitical game being played. In early 1979, the U.S. finally gets wise to Pakistan's nuclear ambitions and slaps sanctions on them. But just 8 months later, the Soviet Union invades Afghanistan. And suddenly, America desperately needed an ally right on the Soviet border to arm the Mujahideen fighters. And who is that ally? Pakistan. All of a sudden, the nuclear program wasn't the priority anymore. The sanctions were lifted, aid money started flowing in, and there was this unspoken agreement that the U.S. would just look the other way. And Khan himself, he was keenly aware of this double standard. In an interview, he shot back with this defiant question. It perfectly captures that resentment felt by so many nations outside the exclusive nuclear club. You see, he didn't see it as theft. He saw it as leveling a dangerously imbalanced playing field. So, Armed with stolen blueprints, a complete supplier list, and the political cover of the Cold War, A.Q. Khan returned to Pakistan a hero, completely ready to build the bomb. Now here's what's truly remarkable. Using those stolen designs, Pakistan had a functional nuclear bomb ready to go as early as 1984, but they kept it a complete secret for 14 years. Why? Well, because they were still getting billions in aid from the United States to fight the Soviets in Afghanistan, and an open nuclear test would have immediately shut off that money tap. So for 14 years, Pakistan sat on its secret weapon. The trigger to finally reveal it came, once again, from India. In May of 1998, India conducted a whole new series of nuclear tests. The pressure on Pakistan to prove it could match them became immense. The world was about to learn what A.Q. Khan had really accomplished. And so, on May 28, 1998, Pakistan conducted a series of 5 nuclear tests in the Chagai Hills. The heist was officially complete. The world now had a brand new nuclear power, and the term Islamic bomb, which was coined by the West, entered the global vocabulary. So A.Q. Khan had secured his country's nuclear deterrent. You'd think the story ends there, right? But his work wasn't done. Oh no, the blueprints he stole were about to go on the open market, with catastrophic consequences. Khan used his knowledge and his network of suppliers to create the world's most dangerous black market. He sold the centrifuge technology and the know-how to anyone who was willing to pay. And his client list? It included some of the world's most volatile regimes: North Korea, Iran, and Libya. He single-handedly kickstarted their nuclear programs. And this right here, this created the central paradox of A.K. Khan's legacy. In Pakistan, he was, and still is, worshipped as a national hero. He was given the country's highest civilian honor not once, but twice. His face was on trucks, in shops, but to the rest of the world, he was the single most dangerous nuclear proliferator in history. A hero at home, a villain abroad. So where does all this leave the two rivals today? Well, if you look purely at the numbers, things seem pretty balanced. India is estimated to have about 172 nuclear warheads, and Pakistan has 170. On paper, that looks like a stalemate. But remember what we talked about at the very beginning, that difference between an A bomb and an H bomb? Well, this is where it becomes absolutely critical. All of Pakistan's 170 warheads are atom bombs. India, however, claims to have successfully tested a thermonuclear or hydrogen bomb way back in 1998. That means, while the numbers are similar, India has a weapon that is 100 times more powerful. That's a qualitative advantage that numbers alone just can't capture. So this whole story just leaves us with this staggering question. A.Q. Khan's heist didn't just give Pakistan a bomb. It unleashed nuclear ambitions across the globe, completely redrawing the map of international power. And the whole thing was enabled by the cynical calculations of the Cold War, where stopping a rival today was more important than preventing nuclear proliferation tomorrow. The seeds of today's nuclear crises in places like Iran and North Korea, they were planted in that Dutch office all those decades ago. That's the legacy of this one single theft.